Grant signs a lease. Devin buys the same car. Both of them are convinced they made the smarter call. Both of them are wrong because neither one actually did the math. And when you run it properly, the difference is a lot bigger than either of them would like to admit. Let's set the stage fairly. Grant and Devin both take home $55,000 a year. Both want the same vehicle, a $30,000 midsize sedan. Same specs, same package, same paint. They both show up at the same lot on the same afternoon. The only thing that differs is the paperwork they walk out with. Grant signs a 36-month lease, $1,999 at signing, $299 a month. His sales rep tells him he's getting the best of both worlds. Low payment, fresh car every few years, full coverage under warranty, and when the contract ends, he just drops off the keys and moves on. Clean, simple, stress-free. That's the pitch anyway. Devin takes a 60-month loan at 6% interest. He puts $3,000 down, and his monthly comes out to $522. That's $223 more than Grant every single month. Nobody has to point that out. Devin feels it immediately. On the drive home, Grant's the one smiling. Lower payment, newer car, zero mechanical anxiety. From the outside, he looks like he played this exactly right. But there's something he hasn't fully absorbed yet. The architecture of his deal is different from Devin's in a way that no monthly payment comparison can capture. Every dollar Devin sends to the bank is purchasing fractional ownership of something real. Every dollar Grant sends to the leasing company is paying for temporary access to something he'll never own. That distinction, stretched across years, is worth tens of thousands of dollars. For the first 3 years, Grant is living well. Brand new car, bumper-to-bumper warranty, no repair surprises. Brakes acting up? Covered. Electrical issue? Covered. A C goes out in August? Covered. Grant's financial exposure is exactly what he signed up for. Nothing more, nothing less. Devin's experience is more complicated. He's watching his $30,000 car shed value month after month. The moment he left the dealership, it was worth closer to $27,000. By the end of year 1, roughly $23,000. Year 2, maybe $20,000. His outstanding loan balance around that same point is still hovering near $22,000. That means Devin technically owes more than the car is worth. Being underwater isn't just a financial problem, it's a psychological one. Every payment can feel like shoveling money into a pit. Grant notices this. Most people around Devin notice it too. The obvious conclusion seems to write itself. Let's look at the hard numbers through month 36. Grant has paid $1,999 at signing plus 36 months at $299. Total, $12,763. Devin has paid $3,000 down plus those same 36 months at $522. Total, $21,792. Grant has spent just over $9,000 less. That's not a rounding error. That's a real gap. But month 36 is where the narrative shifts. Grant's lease ends. He pulls back into the dealership and faces 3 choices. 1. Buy the car at its residual value, typically $16,000 to $18,000 on a $30,000 vehicle after 3 years. 2. Return the keys and walk away. 3. Sign a new lease and start the whole thing over. Like the majority of people in his position, Grant signs again. New car, new contract, another $1,999 due at signing, another $299 a month, another 36 months ahead of him. The odometer resets. The payment clock does not. Devin, meanwhile, is 36 months into a 60-month loan. He's got 24 payments left. That's not a great feeling in isolation. But here's what matters. Devin has an endpoint, a fixed date when the payments stop and ownership is complete. Every check he writes moves him forward. Every check Grant writes moves him in a circle. That's the structural truth that the monthly payment framing deliberately obscures. One path has a finish line. The other is a treadmill. At month 60, Devin sends his last payment, full stop. The car is his. No more loan, no more obligation. From that point on, his only recurring costs are insurance, fuel, and upkeep. For a standard sedan, that maintenance runs around $100 to $150 a month, averaged across the year, covering tires, oil, brakes, and the occasional unexpected repair. Grant is still paying $299 a month. He barely thinks about it anymore. It's just a line item. That's the quiet danger of leasing. It conditions you to treat a car payment as permanent as just part of adult life. But permanent payments have a permanent cost. Here's where the scoreboard stands at the end of year 6. Grant has completed 2 full lease cycles. Total outlay, roughly $25,526. He holds no title, no asset, no equity. Just a stack of processed payments and a car he'll need to return. Devin has spent $3,000 down, plus $31,320 in loan payments, totaling $34,320. But he also owns a vehicle worth somewhere between $11,000 and $13,000. Net that asset value against his spending and his effective cost lands around $21,000 to $23,000. Grant spent more. Devin spent less and has something to show for it. The reversal happened without fanfare, but it happened. And from this point forward, every passing month deepens Devin's advantage. The monthly figure is the number dealers are trained to sell. It's on the billboard, on the website, in the brochure. What doesn't appear in the brochure is the fine print attached to it: mileage limits. Standard leases typically allow 10,000 to 12,000 miles annually. The average driver in the U.S. covers around 13,500. That's an overage built into most people's leases before they even start. The penalty runs 15 to 25 cents per excess mile. Drive 5,000 miles over your cap across the lease term, and you're looking at a $750 to $1,250 bill presented to you at the return desk. Surprise! Condition standards. The car gets inspected on return. That small scuff from a grocery cart, the faded patch on the rear bumper, the rim scrape from a tight parking garage, all of it is assessed against the leasing company's definition of acceptable, not yours. What seems like everyday use to you can read as a $200 charge to them. Disposition fees. When you return a leased car without signing a new one with the same company, many agreements include a fee just for processing the return. Typically, $300 to $500. You pay them to take back their own car. And if something in your life changes before the lease ends, a job loss, a relocation, a shift in your family situation, exiting early can cost you the remaining balance in full. There is no flexible exit. You are bound to the agreement. None of these costs appear in the $299. They appear later, and they always seem to arrive at the worst possible time. To be straight about this, buying isn't without its own real drawbacks. Once the factory warranty runs out, usually somewhere between years 3 and 4, all repair costs transfer entirely to you. Tires, brakes, belts, sensors, the water pump that fails on a Wednesday morning. There's no warranty department to absorb it. You either pay the shop or go without. For a typical sedan, post-warranty maintenance averages $1,200 to $1,800 annually. Some years it's just routine stuff. Other years it's a $1,800 repair that lands at the worst possible time. The unpredictability is what bothers people most. A lease payment is fixed and knowable. A repair bill is not. Depreciation is also real and unavoidable. A $30,000 car is worth roughly $20,000 2 years in and around $12,000 at the 5-year mark. That value doesn't transfer to anything. It evaporates. The key distinction, though, is that depreciation decelerates sharply after the early years. A 6-year-old car loses value at a fraction of the rate a new one does. The longer an owner holds, the less depreciation damages their financial position. Time is structurally in the buyer's favor. Here's the full picture across a decade. Grant has gone through 3 or 4 lease cycles. Each one costs him approximately $12,000 to $13,000 in payments, plus whatever he's accumulated in mileage penalties, condition charges, and disposition fees across multiple returns. His 10-year total lands somewhere in the range of $45,000 to $52,000. At year 10, he has no vehicle title. Devin paid $34,320 to own his car. Over the following 5 to 7 years, he spent roughly $10,000 to $14,000 on maintenance and repairs. His decade total comes to approximately $44,000 to $48,000, and there's still a paid-off car in his driveway. Older, yes, but worth $4,000 to $6,000 and completely his. Netted out, and Devin spent less overall while retaining an asset. The gap between them across 10 years sits somewhere between $15,000 and $25,000, depending on lease terms, maintenance luck, and how long Devin holds the vehicle. That's one car, one decade. Most people cycle through 4 or 5 vehicles over their adult years. Extend that gap across a lifetime of car decisions, and you're looking at a difference that can exceed 6 figures in accumulated wealth. That said, leasing does make genuine sense in specific circumstances. For business owners and the self-employed, lease payments often qualify as deductible operating expenses depending on usage. That tax treatment can close or completely eliminate the ownership gap, and in some cases, tip the math decisively toward leasing. For luxury or performance vehicles, where out-of-warranty repair costs are genuinely severe, staying inside the warranty window has real financial value. A lease on a high-end European sedan is a fundamentally different calculation than a lease on a mainstream compact. And if someone actually takes the $223 monthly difference and routes it into a low-cost index fund, returning 8 to 10% annually, the math over a long enough window could favor the leaser. The operative word is actually. That requires consistent discipline most people don't sustain. Be honest with yourself before you build a strategy around it. For the average person, driving an average car, holding it for the long term wins. It's not the answer that generates social media content. A paid-off car doesn't photograph well. But financial outcomes don't care about aesthetics. Grant and Devin both walked into that dealership thinking they'd thought it through. Grant thought he was being efficient. Devin thought he was building something. Neither of them modeled the full cost past the first few months. The trap isn't leasing specifically, and it isn't buying specifically. The trap is treating a decade-long financial commitment like a monthly subscription, optimizing for the smallest number on the page without ever calculating what that number adds up to across 5 years, 10 years, a lifetime of decisions. So before anyone slides a payment figure across a desk and it lands lower than you expected, ask yourself the only question that actually matters. What does this decision cost me when it's completely over? Because that's the number that determines where you end up.